The release of emotion was one of the most remarkable parts. From canoeing and cycling to the wheelchair rugby court, where tears filled the eyes of a seasoned British veteran of the Afghanistan war, it revealed what individuals living with obvious physical challenges had invested through a pandemic simply to make it to the Paralympics, whether they left with a medal or not. Paralympics GB amassed plenty of metal, 124 medals in all and 41 golds, second only to China. But more than Dame Sarah Story and Hannah Cockcroft. Brilliant, relentlessly competitive athletes on a level of their own. Those who will live in the memory fought to third place, or suffered the agony of fourth. Few post-competition conversations were more searing than the one with long jumper Zach Skinner, on Saturday. His father, former England rugby union player Mick Skinner, had placed a note in his son's suitcase, telling him, "Be the competitor you are." Skinner finished fourth. He could barely forgive himself. Neither Skinner, boxers Scott McCowan nor powerlifting's Ali Jawad took medals, but they did take us a very long way from the egos, self-absorption and ludicrous economics of the Premier League. The competitive challenge they experienced was healthy and sustaining for Paralympic sport. Those who have followed the arc of this event's history talk of the many years when the top competitors, Brazil's Daniel Diaz, Australia's Ellie Cole or Britain's Ellie Simmonds and David Weir, just rocked up and took gold. All four were eased out by a new generation this time. It felt like a changing of the guard. Weir was nearly 6 minutes adrift in yesterday's marathon, coming fifth in what will be his last games. A new generation has taken their place. People like GB's Maisie Summers, Newton, and Thomas Young, India's Avani Lekara, and Australia's Paige Greco. The geographical expanse of challenges was more diverse. More countries won medals here than at any previous Paralympics. India and hosts Japan drove up their standards, as well as Colombia and Argentina. Their successes will build Paralympic sport in those countries and, in turn, the visibility and inclusion of those with disability. African nations fared less well than in Rio, though the International Paralympic Committee's vision in seeing to it that 49 sub-Saharan countries received a free, two-air feed will aid the cause there. In the UK, the brilliant coverage of Channel 4 played the same part. That broadcaster is needed more than ever, given the BBC issued redundancy notices to staff before the Tokyo Olympics, stating that they will focus on habit-driving properties such as football and cricket. There is a risk to Channel 4's capacity to maintain their output if plans to privatise the channel go ahead. IPC President Andrew Parsons made a significant intervention on that yesterday. "I can't imagine that if Channel 4 was a purely profit-driven organisation it would have been able to prioritise the ambition, the daring or the creative excellence in the way that it has over the last decade," he said. Given that the IPC have only 140 staff and an annual budget of £17 million, it was an achievement just to get these Paralympics on. But the IPC now want to build something out of the event for the 15% of the world's population with a disability. Their We the 15 campaign, launched with the International Disability Alliance at the opening ceremony, will run through the Paris 2024, Los Angeles 2028 and Brisbane 2032 cycles. For British athletics and UK sport, who fund them, there are serious questions about whether enough is being done to maintain the momentum from London 2012. Weir said after his marathon finish that he had gone to an American company to get a chair, paid for it himself, and that the investment hasn't been there for him or the next generation. He also said governing body World Athletics should incorporate Paralympic sports in many, or all, of their Diamond League meetings, because it would enhance the spectacle. But there was no better sign of global progress than the compelling 100 meters final in which 4 athletes from 3 nations, Germany, Costa Rica and Great Britain, finished within 0.03 seconds of each other. "That was the advert," said Britain's Johnny Peacock, one of the 4. "I'm so proud to have competed in that." Ali Jawad, the Brit weightlifter, hauling himself onto the powerlifting bench and competing, when the fact he has no legs was only a part of the clinical challenge. T64 100 meters final, the greatest race across that distance in Olympic or Paralympic history. Joint bronze for Johnny Peacock, below 0.03 seconds from gold. Gary McCowan, the look on his face after son Scott, living with a life-limiting diagnosis since childhood, finished 4th in boccia. "You wouldn't believe how proud I am," he said. GB wheelchair rugby team beating the USA to win the nation's first team sport gold in 61 years of Paralympic history after having to fight for funding. Rob Oliver the canoeists bronze, 13 years after losing a leg because of a tackle in a football match. The team have stuck with me, said Oliver. Above. I owe them so much.